Good morning. Welcome to Trinity Online this morning. It is lovely to be together. I have been just enjoying watching everybody greet each other in the comment section on Facebook Live. It is great to see you all pouring in. I've said before, I'll keep saying it, that the comment section is the embodiment of our gathering. So don't worry about how it's bad manners to talk in church. It's the best we got. So lay it on there. Feel like you're sitting in the last row of the classroom whispering to your friends. I don't care what it evokes, just keep doing it because it is how we connect, making use of this technology with all of its amazing possibilities and limitations. So welcome to Trinity. Welcome to our online gathering for worship. I'll just say this. Y'all are doing the worshiping. Those of us whose faces and music and so forth you will see on this screen, we're providing you the fodder for your spiritual offering. You're not watching a performance, but rather you're part of a community that is making an offering of prayer, which includes music and words of scripture and a commitment to togetherness, even when that togetherness needs to be expressed by being apart. So welcome to Trinity's online worship. You are the worshiping congregation, and thank you for doing it and being it. Here is my printout with bad color of the worship guide for this morning. If you haven't already gotten a copy of it in place where you can use it, either on paper or simply on screen, this wouldn't be a bad time to do it. You can see I have our Paschal candle lit. I will keep it lit throughout the service since we're in the 50 days of Easter. But if you would like to light a candle as a way of joining me, please do. And if during the prayers you feel like extinguishing yours so that you can watch the smoke go up to visualize your prayers going to God, you can extinguish yours, but I'm going to leave mine on. Anyway, here it is, it's lit. Let me invite you to open your heart to the Good Shepherd leading us beside still waters, as Paul's prelude now plays. Good morning. Again, welcome to Trinity Online. It is lovely to be together, lovely to have our hearts opened and settled with peace by that beautiful music that Paul just played. Let me invite you to join me in saying the centering prayer. If you don't know where to find it, it is in the worship guide that looks a little bit like this. It's a PDF file that you can either have on a screen in front of you or print out. I hope you have had a chance to get that ready. Let us pray out loud together. We look with uncertainty beyond the old choices for clear-cut answers to softer, more permeable aliveness, which is every moment at the brink of death. Something new is being born in us if we but let it. We stand in a new doorway, awaiting that which comes, daring to be human creatures, vulnerable to the beauty of existence, learning to love. Amen. This morning is the fourth Sunday of Easter. And if you've been wondering why I have been hinting about barns and hay and maybe even sheep a little bit on Facebook the last couple of days, it's because the fourth Sunday of Easter is always about Jesus, the Good Shepherd. This Sunday's gospel reading will be one of the several places where Jesus refers to himself that way, and the other readings tie into that as well. I thought it would be fun to illustrate the Good Shepherd image with some imagery, with some photographs, and that's why we have this beautiful background of Salisbury Cathedral in England with the sheep meadow in the foreground. I have to say, growing up Episcopalian, it took me a long time to figure out that when people talk about the Holy Land, they weren't talking about the Salisbury Plain with Salisbury Cathedral and Stonehenge and Avebury and Silbury Hill and those places. I figured that was the Holy Land until I finally, caught on that Jerusalem and Bethlehem and Nazareth and the Sea of Galilee are the places that people are referring to when they talk about the Holy Land. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to have some pictures, and I found this beautiful one of Salisbury Cathedral, and we have a little bit of art at church that we can throw in as well. But I thought, I'm going to go get my own pictures because, I'm a photographer. That would be fun. So on Monday, Catherine and I drove out to Holland, New York, to visit Joanne and Mark Russell at their home, which is Woolly Acres Farm. I knew that they keep sheep, and I thought maybe I could get a picture or two that would suggest the Good Shepherd. They have sheep. I took some pictures, but the closest I could get was a sort of negative illustration about the Good Shepherd. Here's a picture of Mark trying to call the sheep to come over, and they are regarding him with deep suspicion and wariness. What you can't see, of course, in the picture, he might be a great shepherd, but what you can't see is lurking over his shoulder is this crazy city slicker with a big camera. They weren't so much wary of him as they were of me, and they were having none of it. So I got a couple of pictures of sheep, but no illustration of the Good Shepherd and the sheep knowing his voice, which is what I was kind of fantasizing about. Here is one of the Lafarge windows at Trinity, a little bit of it. You probably can picture in your mind where it is. It's in the chapel on the north side of the church, right next to the more famous one over the altar there in the side chapel. This is maybe not immediately something you associate with Jesus the Good Shepherd, but it is an illustration of the 23rd Psalm, of the Good Shepherd leading us through the valley of the shadow of death. In that wonderful Trinity way, it's kind of different from the predictable. If it weren't for Jesus's halo, you could look at that picture and simply think it was a romantic image of a couple walking through the countryside. But No, with all of the shadows and the hillside in the background, it's meant to convey the image of the Good Shepherd leading us through the valley of the shadow of death. And you see that along with the halo, he also has a stick in one hand, suggesting the verse about thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So let's sing the 23rd Psalm. This is a version of it that uses inclusive language, and it starts with such perfect love my shepherd shows, rather than the king of love my shepherd is, but it is that same familiar, beautiful hymn tune, St. Columba. So here it comes. Sing like you're in the shower.
Today's first reading is from Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. They devoted themselves to the apostles' instructions and the communal life, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. A reverent fear overtook them all, for many wonders and signs were being performed by the apostles. Those who believed lived together, sharing all things common. They would sell their property and goods, sharing the proceeds with one another as each had need. They met in the temple, and they broke bread together in their homes every day. With joyful and sincere hearts, they took their meals in common, praising God and winning the approval of all the people. Day by day, God added to their number those who were being saved. Hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people.
Let's sing a new echo. We have done it many times before, but not recently. So it's printed in your booklet. And Krista is here. She's going to play it live. So we won't hear the singers that we heard on the last hymn. You're going to have to draw upon your inner chorister and all your moxie and sing out as if you could hear everybody else. I just saw in the comments Tim Lane's expression of sorrow that it is not possible to gather together to sing in person right now. That is a painful part of this whole process. But know that everybody else is going to sing out as if they could hear each other. You do the same thing. Let's sing Nothing Can Trouble Nada de Turbe. Let's sing it first in English and then in Spanish as printed in the worship guide. Trouble, nothing can frighten those who seek God shall never go wanting. Nothing can trouble, nothing stops. Nada de turbe, nada de espante. Nada le falta, nada te tuve, nada te espante, solo Dios basta.
This reading is from the works of John O'Donohue. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of lost gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the cura of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. Hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people.
The Gospel according to John. The truth of the matter is, whoever doesn't enter the sheepfold through the gate, but climbs in some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep, the one for whom the keeper opens the gate. The sheep know the shepherd's voice. The shepherd calls them by name and leads them out. Having led them all out of the fold, the shepherd walks in front of them, and they follow because they recognize the shepherd's voice. They simply won't follow strangers. They'll flee from them because they don't recognize the voice of strangers. Even though Jesus used this metaphor with them, they didn't grasp what he was trying to tell them. He therefore said to them again, "The truth of the matter is, I am the sheep gate. All who came before me were thieves and marauders, whom the sheep didn't heed. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be safe. You'll go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and slaughter and destroy. I came that you might have life and have it to the full." Hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people.
Thanks, Krista. I could feel everybody singing, even if I couldn't hear everybody singing. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be upheld by you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. I should just make a comment to dot every I and cross every T that when Catherine and I visited Joanne and Mark Russell in Holland at their sheep farm, we stood around outside and kind of yelled at each other from a distance. We kept the social distance safe, and it was lovely to see them. Calling on parishioners is sort of not a thing to do right now, and I kind of made myself the excuse of taking pictures of their sheep. Anyway, it is important to find whatever ways we can to connect safely and to support one another as deeply as we can, but support being always a matter of helping to flatten the curve. Times are upside down and backwards at this point. The most important thing we can do, most of us at least, is social distancing. There are a lot of us actually who have essential jobs, and I'm going to say something about that in a minute. But for those of us who are retired or able to work from home or have been furloughed or laid off, as hard as it is, the most important thing we can do is keep distance, to do nothing. The most important thing we can do is nothing. It's really hard. But that's becoming kind of a lens for looking at the world at this point. So let's use that backward and upside down way of looking at things to look at this morning's gospel passage by reading it from the end instead of from the beginning. The last verse is Jesus said that he came so that we might have life and have it to the full. Right before that, he talked about the thieves who broke in to steal the sheep and to slaughter them. So, reading backwards, we start with Jesus came so that we might have life and have it to the full, rather than greed and violence. And then what does Jesus say he is? He says he's the gate through which we go between indoors and outdoors, between resting and seeking food, between going out on our own and coming back together. And he says it in a way that emphasizes that he is the way of doing that. He is the way and the life. Not, the emphasis is not on the word the. It's not about the onlyness of Jesus as the only way and the only life. That's certainly a message that has become part of how we hear these words. But if you read through the lesson backwards and see how things come out of what came before them, it's not about the uniqueness of Jesus, but rather about the alternative of the way as an alternative to greed and violence. So what is that way that Jesus showed us? Consistently, it is characterized by compassion for all others, respect for the dignity of every human being. It involves recognizing that failure and betrayal happen all the time, and that choosing second chances over judgment and insisting on returning to compassion and respect are the way to deal with failure and betrayal, always cropping up in ourselves and in others and in society. Part of the way is sharing with each other rather than seeking selfish gain at the expense of others. So I mentioned essential workers before and how most of us are sort of restricted to nothing as the thing that we need to do. These upside down times have shown how in normal times, maybe our economy is upside down. In normal times, essential workers, harvesters, food handlers, delivery people, cleaners, those who attend to the physical needs of the weak and the vulnerable, teachers, police, store clerks, construction workers, and repair people, on and on. I'm probably leaving out 3/4 of the list. Many of these folks are at the bottom of the pay scale in normal times. Now we are happy to cheer for them, to ring bells, to thank nurses and doctors, and to post thank you messages on social media, which are all good things to do. But I have to say, it seems like a stretch to think that we will reevaluate whom we pay how much to reflect the implication of the term essential when we talk about essential workers. Will our economy turn itself right side up and recognize how essential they are by how they're paid? I have a hunch that for most of us, not only for the wealthy, most of us find it terrifying to recognize how dependent we are on other people. Paying essential workers more than lip service would acknowledge that those of us who seem powerful in society are not as powerful as we seem. And even those of us who are not so powerful have to acknowledge how dependent we are on others. So on this Good Shepherd Sunday, it's okay for us to say that we're dependent only on God. We can accept being sheep in the flock of Jesus, the Son of God, that feels okay. That makes the vulnerability and of admitting the limits of our self-sufficiency feel a little safer. I'm a little vulnerable, but I can turn to Almighty God and depend on God alone. That feels okay. And then the Good Shepherd says, who, me? I'm just the gate. You go in and out through me. You go between indoors and outdoors, between resting and seeking food, between going out on your own and coming together in community. You do those things through me. I'm just the gate. And as we continue to think about things upside down, we recall how the church in its mystical wisdom has gone on even further to say, the shepherd isn't some big, strong guy who holds everybody in his arms. The shepherd is the lamb. The shepherd is the lamb. To follow the way of Christ is to trust and to be trustworthy, to recognize our dependence and to be dependable, to hold ourselves back in order to move ahead together, to love one another as we have been loved. So happy Good Shepherd Sunday. Even the shepherd calls us to see things upside down, to trust and be trustworthy, to love as we have been loved. Okay, I'm going to start the prayers now. Yes, Jeff, give me a nod. I'm starting the prayers now. Oh, I'd better do the affirmation of faith. Right. Sorry about that, everybody. You all have been just watching me make my mouth go all this time. I was trying not to make noise during Krista's piano music. We share a channel anyway. Let's say the affirmation of faith together. We are not alone. We live in God's creation. We believe in God who has created and is created, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to love and serve others, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus crucified and risen, our judge and our hope. In life, in death, in life beyond death, God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. All right, now let's pray together for ourselves, for each other, for the larger community, for this city, for our whole nation and society, and for the world. Let the prayer cloud in the booklet prompt you to think beyond what you might ordinarily think of. And let me invite you also to pray especially for essential workers, for the whole earth already stressed. Pray for those Jesus loved. Think about who Jesus loved. And I invite you to pray for those we love but see no longer, obviously, for those who have died from the pandemic, and also for those whose deaths have simply happened during the pandemic and whose families are so distressed by being unable to come together for comfort and support and to remember in person the one they love but see no longer. We've been asked especially to pray for Jane Hanley's grandson, who, going on a hike in order to pass the time in his pandemic isolation, had a hiking accident and died. His name is Paul. We pray for him and for Jane and her whole family. For any others that you know of, please use the comment section to share your prayers together. And after you have looked at your candle, if you have it lit for a moment, to remind yourself that even a small light can be the incoming of the light of Christ. If you would like to let your prayers ascend in the smoke, go ahead and extinguish that candle. I'll keep mine lit to remind us of the Paschal candle for our community. And now, as we wind down our prayers, let's sing Day by Day together. The peace of the Lord be always with you. Please greet one another in the name of the Lord and in the comment section. fun reading the comments section. It's pretty wonderful. I love being part of this community. Just have a couple of things I want to mention. Please make sure to read the e-news that came out on Friday. If you don't already get the e-news, you can go to Trinity's website, trinitybuffalo.org, and you'll see a button to click that will take you where you can sign up for the e-news. Make sure to keep up with that because it's our most dependable way of getting shared announcements to most people. So by all means, if you're not already getting the e-news, please sign up for it. And if you've tried to sign up for it and been frustrated by that, send an email to me or to Colleen, and we will make sure that you can get signed up through a back channel. So but please make sure that you're signed up for that. I also want to suggest in the e-news, there is an invitation to sign up to be part of some Zoom dinner parties. When Catherine and I first got here 5 years ago, we had in-person dinner parties. They're wonderful. And they were loads of fun. Maybe an online dinner party will lack a certain something, but Catherine Gillespie and Elaine Fantini are getting organized to organize the get-togethers. Check in with them. They should be lots of fun. And the more that we do to just be connected to each other, the better we'll do through all of this. I also want to point out that there is what the senior warden described as an asterisk about the church's finances. Please read that while you're at it. And mentioning finances, please take advantage of whatever means you have to continue to support Trinity financially. The expenses that we incur when we're in the building don't go down when we're not in the building. So please do your best to continue to support the congregation's life by supporting Trinity financially. If your circumstances cause you to have to adjust how you can do that, we all understand that. So don't feel like you're somehow letting the congregation down if you have to make an adjustment. And if you can give extra, you're doing the angel's part. Use the online giving option for sure, but you can mail in a check as well. However it works best for you is fine. Let me invite you to soak up a little more beauty, a little more musical beauty before we're done. We have the gorgeous offertory anthem recorded earlier this week.
Shall fit his
Now, as Christ has taught us, we are bold to say, loving God within and around us, we revere you. We seek to live life as you would want us to do, with love and respect for all people and all things in the universe. May we find each day sufficient for our needs and find forgiveness when we do wrong, just as we forgive those who do wrong to us. In times of trouble, may we center our lives in you. For your being is love, which comes with strength and with beauty throughout eternity. Amen. Let us pray. Gracious God, you have given us grace at this time with one accord to make our common supplication to you. And you have promised through your well-beloved Son that when 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name, you will be in the midst of them. Fulfill now, O Lord, our desires and petitions as may be best for us, granting us in this world knowledge of your truth, and in the age to come, life everlasting. And now, the God of peace, who brought again from the dead our Lord Jesus Christ, the great shepherd of the sheep, make you perfect in every good work to do God's will, working in you that which is well-pleasing in God's sight. And may the blessing of God, who made us, who loves us, and who animates and guides us, be with you now and always. One more opportunity to sing together, and this time we do have Laura and Suzanne and John and Nick helping us feel like we're part of a choir. So please barrel along and join into What Wondrous Love Is This.
And through eternity I'll sing on. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to lay aside his crown for my soul, for my soul, to lay aside his crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyfully. And through eternity I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity I'll sing on.
Before I say the dismissal, let me invite you to hang around on this Facebook Live stream for Krista's postlude, which she's going to play live in a minute. And because she's zooming into Facebook to play that, I can't go open the coffee hour meeting until her postlude is completed. So we get to hear a little more beautiful music to close the service. And then right after that, I'll go leave this Zoom meeting and close it and open the coffee hour. But first, a little more music. Take your leave, trusting that we are made one in Christ, to shine in the world with God's light. Alleluia, alleluia.